What is up, you guys? The UFC 270 press conference has taken place, and it was quite interesting, if you ask me. First and foremost, a very different situation in the main event with Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane. We've had guys that have trained together and have parted ways, and there's been some bad blood. But in my opinion, there's something a little bit different about this matchup. We're talking about two guys that are at the pinnacle of the heavyweight division. Culturally, they're not your typical, American heavyweights. They have different kind of personalities, and you could sense a little bit of something different from them culturally. They have a big attachment to France as well, right? They both were living over there, and this is just a very intriguing fight to me. Cyril Gane, he's playing the very passive, easygoing type of guy. And I shouldn't say playing it, because it definitely seems that that's very authentic and that's who he is. Francis Ngannou, in my opinion, a guy that we've seen kind of morph a little bit over the years. And to tell you the truth, I kind of like it. And we're going to get into that here today. I mean, I almost see Francis Ngannou turning into some kind of heel, where he's still going to have a lot of fans and whatnot. He's going to be a polarizing figure, but he's almost playing kind of a bad guy. He's starting to get a little bit of an attitude. And we've seen things play out similarly with Conor McGregor, right? Remember Conor McGregor? People definitely liked him a little bit more towards the beginning, even though there's plenty of fans regardless either way, and people are watching. I think McGregor was a little bit more of a good guy towards the beginning, and then all that money and fame got to him. And for whatever reason, it's human nature. People kind of tend to not like people that start to get that way a little bit, and I kind of sense that a little bit. We'll talk more about that here in a second. But a very interesting atmosphere between the two heavyweights. With the two flyweights, Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. These guys they're going to be fighting almost 3 times within a year span, just about 13 months or so. I mean, these guys know each other very well. And all throughout the press conference, they were going back and forth. And it was very interesting as well. It was tough because you had Figueiredo really poking jabs and whatnot and going after Moreno. He's speaking in Portuguese. He had the translator trying to translate it, while Moreno speaking English and Spanish. So it was a little tough there. I do believe that Figueiredo probably understood Moreno and vice versa a little bit more so through their native languages, because I know there's some common words there. Probably Figueiredo probably understood the Spanish more so than the English. But I think at the end of the day, they understood what's going on here, and that they're about to go to war. And the more I watched this press conference, I think I was even more so intrigued for that flyweight matchup from the press conference. Now, again, I'm not saying that I'm more intrigued to watch that fight over the heavyweight fight, but I mean the press conference, it brought the flyweight fight up a little bit more so compared to where it was compared to the heavyweight fight. The heavyweight fight, I'm already super excited to see it. The press conference made it a little bit more exciting, but it was already there. That flyweight fight, it was good. I like what Deiveson Figueiredo did. He is a real ruthless guy. I believe that. This guy he's a savage, man. He's a killer. Came in with the gold teeth. He had the shades on. And anytime Moreno was chit-chatting, he was just letting him know, I'm going to put you out. Was throwing a couple marafosh, a couple of those kind of words out there. And I liked it. I'm very, very intrigued for the matchup. It's going to be a tough fight for Figueiredo. He better hope that what he was saying is true about him being sick going into that last fight and having some issues outside the cage, because if that wasn't the case, Brandon Moreno took some major strides since the first time they fought, and it could be another quick night for Figueiredo and Moreno there. So that's something to keep an eye on. And and we'll bounce back up to the heavyweight side of things. Some interesting things that Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane were talking about here at the press conference. Some things I found interesting. I talked about Francis Ngannou kind of turning into somewhat of a heel a little bit. And I don't know if that's the best word to use, but you guys catch what I'm saying here. He's getting a little bit of an edge to him. He's coming in there with the shades and the suit, and he's kind of walking around like nobody can mess with him. And I don't blame him. I love it. If I was him, I'd be doing the same thing. I mean, he's the heavyweight champion of the world, the baddest man on the planet. But some people would say that we've seen a little bit of a personality shift in him throughout the years. Now, in this press conference, one of the reporters asked a question in regards to them being teammates in the past, and Francis Ngannou was quick to say that they were never teammates. I found this interesting because obviously the word teammate can be used, I guess, in a variety of ways. I guess it kind of depends what you define as a teammate. But, you know, according to Cyril Gane, they were teammates. They were training together. They were putting time in on the mats together. And, you know, I kind of see both of these guys' points. There's been times before where I was training at one gym and then say I stopped in another gym through a friend just letting me know about it, getting me like a little week pass, whatever, going in, training some MMA with some new guys. And there's guys that I put in work with, but we're talking about like a week or whatnot. I wouldn't consider those guys my teammates. I think that Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane were training a lot more than just a week, so it's a little bit of a different situation. I would side more so with Cyril Gane. I think that they were teammates. So Francis Ngannou is just trying to let it be known that he really doesn't really respect those guys too much over there. If you ask me, the way he talked about all them, he's turned the page in a major way, and he's not looking back. I don't think he wants any type of relation with those guys. You gotta wonder, was there something else going on behind the scenes? Was there something that happened there more than just what we all know about? And I don't know about that. Maybe things will come out in the near future. But Francis Ngannou really has some type of disdain for those guys. Something changed. And then, of course, Francis talking about knocking down Cyril Gane with that left head kick, as you see him right now chirping about it. I mean, you guys all know that's something that you really shouldn't do. And it was kind of interesting watching them go back and forth, trying to pick a side of who you believe. What do you really think happened? You know, putting the puzzle pieces together. What I think is I think that Francis Ngannou hit him with a big shot, and Cyril Gane did get dropped. He admitted that he didn't train the rest of that day. Right there, that's a major sign that something went on. In Cyril Gane's defense, I think that he was kind of getting at, you're not really supposed to do that, right? When you're training, you're not supposed to try to drop your partners like that when you're just, you're working your techniques and whatnot. And you could almost sense that Cyril Gane, he said, look me in my eyes. He's looking. And then he said something after that to the effect of kind of looking at him and saying, you don't respect me. And I think that what he really wanted to say, even if what you're saying is true, maybe he's exaggerating a little bit, but even if it is true, why are you embarrassing me, or why are you putting me out like that? You shouldn't be saying that. That's not really what training partners are supposed to do after they train together. I kind of got a hint of that. But I don't think that Francis Ngannou is just making that story up. I think there's some truth to it. You could take it for what it is, though. I mean, when you're training and you're sparring with guys, depending on how you're sparring and how you're going at it, I don't know how much merit that really carries. I mean, if they were really just working on technique and whatnot, why are you just slamming the dude with the head kick trying to knock him out? Especially when you're the size of Francis. But again, maybe Francis doesn't know his own power at times, or it's hard to control that power. Francis, of course, talking about it's not a problem for other people he trains with. He trains with girls, flyweights, and all that. So things were getting interesting, man, for sure, to say the least. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, the main thing that I gathered from this press conference, in my opinion, is that Francis Ngannou was really looking to take that next step into stardom. I think that he has some good people behind him from a financial standpoint. I think that if he goes out there and gets this knockout, he already has 3.3 million followers on Instagram. He's a freak athlete, and he has a very interesting story and personality. We all know he came, from the bottom, the real bottom. We're not talking about the bottom people in Canada. Well, to reference that first from the song, but anyway, started at the bottom, now we're here, or the bottom in America. The bottom in America is near the top, and a lot of other places in the world, which a lot of people don't even realize that. Casual Americans that have never traveled the world or that have never been enlightened to things, the bottom of America could really be even a beautiful place if people took care of it a little bit, you know what I mean? But everything's here, but that's a whole nother story. Francis really came from the bottom, and he's really at the top now. Francis Ngannou is rich. He has life by the balls. He's the heavyweight champion. He's about to be one of the biggest stars in all of sports. I really feel he has that potential, Again, now he has a big test in front of him, though, and that could be derailed a little bit here because Cyril Gane is a phenomenal fighter and a very, very technical striker, and he has some major opportunities in this matchup here to go in and get the job done. So if Cyril Gane comes in here, gets this victory, it's going to be putting everything that Francis Ngannou has. It's going to be putting that to a halt for the meantime. Of course, Francis can bounce back, but if Francis wants to be a true star, he's got to do something in this fight right now. He's got to defend the belt. This is, I know it's not necessarily comparable in the sense of Conor McGregor defending the belt because he didn't do that, obviously. He didn't really do that too much, but this is a comparable fight for Francis, in my opinion, from when Conor was going through that list of taking out guys like Poirier and Mendez and whatnot, because he was starting to get that traction then, what was McGregor, and I think Ngannou's kind of at that point right now, and you got to capitalize when you start getting that momentum. You got to deliver, and you got to start winning, and that's what McGregor did. If you guys remember at the time, he was capitalizing at those points of time, taking out Poirier, taking out Chad Mendez, of course, the Jose Aldo fight, some of those fights that he really had to get. And you could even push that back further because he had traction from the Dennis Seaver fight, the Diego Brandao fight. People were already all watching him. But Francis Ngannou's at that type of point. He's got to deliver if he really wants the big bucks and he really wants things to take to a whole nother level. That's my thoughts on that. I will say this much as far as Francis Ngannou goes. I kind of am a fan, but at the same time, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of rooting for Cyril Gane here. I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of rooting for Cyril Gane. And usually this isn't me. You guys know this. Usually I don't like the guy that's so passive and whatnot, but there's something about Cyril Gane to me that's smooth. I like him, and I've gravitated towards him even more so than Francis. But I still like Francis, but I'm liking Cyril Gane's style a little bit, man. He's chill. And I feel like he was the guy that was somewhat disrespected throughout this whole thing here. And I would love to see him get that sweet redemption. I think that Francis is the one pushing the envelope. And again, sometimes I like to see that. But there's no pushback from Gane. You could tell he's a good dude. Even when they had the stare downs, Cyril Gane's the one reaching out, trying to bump the fist. We saw with Derek Lewis too. He didn't want none of the smoke with Lewis. He's not really about that type of life. He's just a guy that's a phenomenal fighter. But I tend to believe that Cyril Gane is, I don't know how I would say this. It's funny, like you hanging out with kids and stuff when you're young, or different kids, friends, and I wouldn't call him a wuss because first off, look at him as a man, but those types of guys that just try to avoid stuff. I could see Cyril Gane being the type of guy where someone's really crossing the line, and I could see Cyril Gane not really doing anything about it. That's kind of his personality. But you know what? It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, he knows how to light that fire under him when he steps into the cage, and he knows how to deliver. He's a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal fighter. But again, if you understand what I'm saying, he's kind of has that personality that imagine if somebody was crossing the line doing certain things where I believe you got to step up and do something about it. I feel like Cyril Gane is very passive, and he would just avoid the situation at all cost. Francis, on the other hand, he's really starting to show a side of his personality that he's a feisty guy. You saw it with the reporter. One of the reporters asked him a couple questions, and the reporter definitely was kind of jabbing him a little bit. You can kind of get the vibe that the reporter, I think it was a reporter out of France, and I don't think he really liked the fact that Francis Ngannou kind of turned his back on the MMA factory and that those whole side of things. I think that he kind of saw that Francis Ngannou is just trying to become like an American star, and he asked a question even towards the end that was kind of a jab, basically saying that did you get all your style and now your style and your look, and I think even something in regards to the personality kind of from America and Las Vegas, like did it basically change you who you were? And I think Francis kind of sensed that too, and you saw the look in his eye that he didn't really appreciate that. But even before that, he said something, and Francis was barking at him. So Francis has really shown that he's an aggressive individual, and of course he's aggressive in the octagon, but he's carrying that energy even outside the cage, and I like it. I think it leads to even more of that killer instinct. I mean, we think about Mike Tyson in his prime, right? Mike Tyson, of course, he was one of the best knockout artists of all time in combat sports, but he was ferocious. This was a guy that carried the attitude and aggression outside the ring, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I kind of like it personally, and I think it could help your career and help your fighting style. And I see Francis Ngannou carrying that with himself, so I thought that was intriguing there. So two personalities that are a little different, that are going to clash here this upcoming Saturday. I cannot wait for this fight. I really cannot. I'm looking forward to this fight in a major way, and I'm looking forward to this fight a little bit differently than some other fights I've been looking forward to. I mean, this fight's different. This fight's different. We're talking about two giant men that could really do some damage, and it's just going to be very interesting to see these heavyweights moving around in there, and we'll see how long the fight lasts. And two different styles really clashing in a way. You know, Francis Ngannou with that knockout power, Cyril Gane, the technician, who is working on some things there. So you guys know, I really want to know, who do you guys have winning this fight? Comment below. In the top two fights, comment, put if you have Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo, and then also let me know if you got Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane. I'm genuinely curious who you guys got in those fights. I want to see in the comment section. Please like this video as well. Of course, you guys can catch me on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _, on Twitter, the MMA Teller. You can keep up with me all the way up to the fight night and all throughout the night on Saturday. And of course, if you guys want to work with me for my official plays, reach out to me, ask my pricing, and all that good stuff. All right, guys. What else? Let's see if we could think of anything. I'm watching the African cichlids over there in the back. I got the fish tank, and they're going at it. So it's a little late over here Thursday night. I guess we're gonna wrap up here, boys, and I will catch you guys soon. Signing out, Teller.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The teller.